Hello!
And welcome to the Martini Scale, where we talk movies over martinis.
And provide our perspective on what is and isn't worth watching.
We are three friends who all love film, so the goal of the show isn't to critique every detail, but to give you an honest perspective of what our experience was like when watching something.
And perhaps, more importantly, how drunk you need to be to enjoy it.
I'm Sean.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Lena.
And we are finally discussing in this episode Avengers
Endgame.
We did that badly. That wasn't good.
Let's try it again, you guys.
In 3, 2,
One. Avengers.
Oh, okay, so we've been drinking. Okay, so
Wait,
here's
you're
the thing.
supposed to say one, and it's a pause, and then you go.
Well, you either go on 3 or on 1, or you wait until after.
Can you
the
go
1.
on 3?
Let's go on 3. You ready?
Okay, 1, 2.
Avengers Endgame.
See how that works? And then just stay out of it. It's better for everybody.
That's what I did. Until I knew I could come in on the
Okay. Fucking hot mess.
well.
The thing is, like, we're always the most drunk on the episodes that people are actually going to listen to. Like, people are going to listen to this episode and they're going to be like, who
But
the
that's the
fuck
whole
are
point. We
these people?
should be
I know.
drunk.
Yeah.
We want you to appreciate the show. I want to give a shout out to somebody really quickly because my friend Enrique. Hi, Enrique.
Hi,
Hi, Enrique.
I just want you to know that, like, he newly discovered the show. And when I say newly discovered, I mean, like, he just started, like, binge listening to our episodes. And we didn't do an episode a couple weeks ago. And he was like, Sean, I need to know what you guys are doing. Like, he was, like, genuinely upset that we didn't have a new episode for him. And so I thought that was really cute. And I thought that, like, we have people out there that care about what we're doing.
That's
and
really
so,
cute.
Yeah, so what to say?
I love
Everybody
when
say
they
hi,
come on.
Enrique.
Hi, Enrique.
Cool.
I love when friends are like, I have thoughts on your podcast. I'm like, oh, you listened to it? It just came out today.
Yeah, it's really
Aw,
cute.
That's
I love
cute.
that.
I love that. All right, so Avengers. I don't think we need to go into all of this because it's a lot, but everybody knows what this movie is. If you haven't, if you don't know, then you
We're not naming all the names, guys.
you shouldn't be listening to a movie
No.
podcast.
That's way too many names.
Yeah, too many names.
It's a Marvel movie, superhero movie. What else?
22nd Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Is it?
MCU?
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. I like that. Yeah, let's do some trivia. I like
Yeah.
that.
Which Robert Downey Jr. and God, now I forgot her name. The blue-faced lady
Oh.
Nebula were lost in space for 22 days
Yep.
because this was the 22nd movie.
22. They like to put a
So
lot of
22
those
is the-
kind of
you
little
know.
Easter eggs in there. Is that
Do you know
what
that I
Easter
didn't
eggs?
see the
No.
end of the last one? I missed
How
the
does-
last like 20 minutes.
What?
So
How does that happen?
Okay, I'll tell the story really quickly. So
That's the whole. Yeah.
I
missed everything.
I know. Well, this one I did. I saw everything, but the one
I
prior
know,
to
but
that,
the
Yeah.
one is the one you
it's
need.
the important one. I know. Okay.
well.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna sound like a crazy person. If you know me, then you know that it's true. But basically, what happened is that I went to a screening at ArcLight like 6 months ago and saw the last one for the first time. I'd never
Okay.
seen
You
it.
were.
Yes. And it was this huge event where there was like comic nerds and like literally like industry people, and it was a free screening, and I didn't want to be there for like the aftermath of all that. And so like it was so fucking long that I was like, oh, I'm sure it's going to end soon. And then it just didn't end ever. And like, so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go. And then I left, and then I never saw it.
At
And
what
then
point did you leave?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I'm not interested enough in these movies. Like, I love them. They're entertaining. Don't get me wrong. But like, I couldn't. I'm not. We talked about this in the last superhero movie when we did Captain Marvel, whatever. I enjoy them for what they are, but I'm not like immersed in the universe enough to tell you to be like, oh my god, it was blah blah blah. Yeah, totally. So it's like I go for the thrill and the ride, and then I'm like,
Did you
cool.
see when people got dusted? Did you know that was a thing that had happened?
I knew that was a thing that was potentially coming,
but you
no,
didn't know.
I did not see
you
that.
didn't see the ramifications of
I
Thanos
made the
snapping his fingers.
I made the assumption at the beginning of this one. And I want to talk about the beginning of this one really quickly because I have to tell you that like we did the episode for The Long Shot, which is coming out. We film these episodes out of order, people. It's just what we do. But
We're drunk. We don't know how
in
to.
that episode for Long Shot, we talked about silence in the movies and people making noises and whatever. And so when I went to see Avengers, I was so excited, and like I literally got like a feast. I got like the pizza, and I got like ice cream, and like all this fun stuff to
God.
eat.
Whoa.
And so I sit down to the movie thinking like, oh, the first scene I'm gonna be able to like chomp away and like make noise, whatever, because it's like Avengers. It's gonna be like this big action scene. And it's like the first 30 minutes of this fucking movie are literally
quiet.
silence.
Yeah.
It's literally
Really
people like
quiet.
whispering to each
Yeah.
other. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I felt so
you're
bad.
starving.
So I just felt because I'm hungry, like, and my ice cream is melting, and I'm like, I gotta figure this shit out. And so like I felt so bad for the person next to me because I could tell it was like a total superhero nerd that was like waited their whole life for this movie.
And you're just like unwrapping treat after treat after treat.
So
I would have fucking killed you.
Bad. I felt so bad.
That's why you unwrap. That's why you go in and watch previews. So you unwrap everything before the movie starts. So
you
don't
shovel
have
in
to
all that food before the movie starts.
But you know me,
you guys don't like previews, but that's where I like to open everything up.
I like previews.
So I don't bother anybody.
I like previews, but AMC, like, they literally do an hour previews. Like, last night when we went to see the movie, you were like, I was like, should we go in like 30 minutes? And you're like, no, I like to see the previews. I was like, don't worry, you're still going to get to see previews if we go 20 minutes late because...
They do play an excessive amount of trailers.
Yeah.
I never noticed.
I have more consistent. I love trailers. I love watching them. I want try and catch them.
I don't
want to
see The Intruder 1,700 times.
Or Pet Sematary. I'm so glad that one's done.
Ugh.
But it's The Mule. I'm so glad I don't ever have to watch that trailer again. Sorry.
No. So it's like, I feel like AMC does circulate through a lot of the same trailers and stuff. So it gets tedious when you do go back to that chain often enough. So to me, it's like, I forget so many times. I'm like, wait, what fucking movie was I here to watch? Because I've just seen so many other trailers for other movies that it does take me a minute to be like, oh, okay, this is what I'm here for. I'm also getting old, so my brain doesn't work.
Fair. So Natalie, please tell us what martini this is because I can't wait for people to see the picture of it.
Oh my
it's
God.
like this magical, colorful martini, and it's amazing. So
We should have put them in the gold ones for the glove.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Crap.
I'm dumb. Well, sorry. So,
why would you spoil? Why would you ruin that? Like, I literally built you up to like the most perfect description.
I
You're
didn't
like,
spoil
but I
it.
should've done
I'm
this.
sorry, but I just thought of it.
so this is just an Infinity Stone martini, is what I'm calling it. And I wanted to do a clear martini that you can really see all the different color stones that are in it that I made for it. So the martini is a pretty basic martini with just a little bit of Malibu rum, because I know how much you love it, Sean. A little bit of pineapple soda and a lot of vodka and a little bit of triple sec.
Well, because you handed it to me and it was clear, and I had a panic attack because I was like, "Is this all vodka?"
You go, is this all vodka?
So I have to
I mean,
tell
it's
you,
pretty close to all vodka.
this is how much of like a non into this universe I am. I knew that they were somehow correlated to the movie, but I couldn't tell you what.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm sorry.
But they were collecting them the whole time.
Yeah, that's what the whole point of the movie is.
No, I feel like a jackass.
Sean.
Here's the thing. So I think Natalie, some of your coworkers in the industry gave us feedback last time we did one of these episodes that we needed to bring somebody like that was like part of that cared about the films like more than we do for this. And I think that what we wanted to explain is that that's part of like what the show is the fact that like we're going to talk about it and we're going to be drinking, but like we're not the Marvel Avengers authorities by any means. So like, please, if that is what you've just tuned in for, like that's not what you're going to get.
Are actually people out there like us that aren't so knowledgeable on the Marvel world that maybe feel the same way we do.
And they just want to know if they should watch the movie and have fun.
Yeah,
that's
it.
Yeah. And, there are plenty of podcasts with experts out there that really love this universe that are going to give you a really good perspective.
This is not
going to
that
give you a good perspective.
One of
listen
which
to ours and listen to the Dum-Dums.
We have friends that host a podcast called The Con Guy.
Yes.
And they absolutely love this world. They do a lot of stuff with like conventions and comic book things. So they do special episodes as well, specifically dealing with like big like television shows or movies. So like they have like Game of Thrones recaps, Walking Dead recaps. And I know they did a big Avengers episode. So they're going to be people that like know this world. They know the comics. They can kind of speak to the history. We are definitely, we're more of the like, if you're kind of a general audience trying to figure out why everybody's watching this movie, we're with you. So
or think that like Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans are hot. Like we're here to talk about that.
That's what we're going to talk about.
So I think like I feel like I know a little bit more about this world because I'm trying to educate myself a little bit more. But I know my friend that did listen, who knows this world very, very well,
she got angry with us.
Very frustrated because she was like, "You guys are dumb bitches who don't know what you're talking about."
I'm
like,
I
totally own that.
I own it. It's fine with me.
I know.
There's like, too much stuff here for my brain capacity.
There's a lot.
I'm like, I can go back and watch it, enjoy it, and then get the story, but like, I'm not going to get it right now.
Okay, but here's a question I have. Are those other podcasts going to have the Magic Stone Martini?
Fuck no, they're not.
It's
and it's the Infinity Stone. Jesus Christ, Sean. I mean, like, at least...
Magic Stones is this Jack and the Beanstalk Fucking magic beans.
Well, we don't even know the name of the stones that they were after for 2 fucking movies. And I think they actually were going after these things for like a long time, too, in other movies.
Well, Doctor Strange wears one.
Yeah, I didn't watch that movie.
Doctor Strange.
All right, do we have any trivia for this episode, Natalie?
I do. I have a couple of things that I wanted to bring up.
Well, first of all, we should mention it's like the highest grossing film of all time.
Oh my God, like $1 billion or something?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it had, so some of the notes that I have. First, the estimated budget, which they're not going to ever release the real budget.
Sure.
What would you guys guess is the estimated budget unless you looked at my notes?
I mean, I'd say several $100 million. I don't know how many $100 million.
I wouldn't. But... I'm going to go with like $500,000.
$500,000? What, for the budget?
Of the movie? No, sorry.
It's like, what are you talking about?
$500 million.
Natalie can't even make a movie for
$500
million.
Okay.
It's definitely in the millions.
I'm
hundreds of millions.
Many hundreds.
Definitely in the millions.
Shut up. For sure.
Many hundred.
Hundreds of millions.
Oh my God. Jesus, we are drunk.
I was looking at the number 500K in my head, and that's why I said 500 million.
Okay, I have 4. I have 4 magic stones in my martini, and so I'm gonna say $400 million.
Oh my God! It is
I
400.
Do have 4 too.
There are.
Damn it.
Okay, let's really test your guys' knowledge. How many Infinity Stones are there?
Oh fuck.
7.
Are there 7?
There's 6.
6?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have guessed 7 too.
Oh, 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Crap.
6.
Each finger and then on the wrist. Yeah.
Okay, well, budget was $400 million, so you do have 4 Infinity Stones in each of your glasses.
Oh, that explains
it. Did you do that on
$400 million.
purpose?
No, I did not. It's just a coincidence.
I was like, well,
that
Easter
I'm
egg
rolling with now.
Okay, good job.
So, box office records, just to kind of keep everybody updated. The last record for opening weekend, biggest opening weekend, was held by Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, interesting.
At $257 million.
Opening weekend.
And I remember, back kind of when I started in this industry, when I was really paying attention to like opening weekends. And I remember when Dark Knight got the record for opening weekend, it was like such a huge deal. Mm-hmm. And that was $158 million. So like this is like leaps and bounds more. So that was Infinity War. Do you guys know how much opening weekend was for
like $1 billion?
Endgame? For domestic, I should say. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, because I think it was $1 billion, wasn't it?
$500 million.
For worldwide.
That's
for domestic.
Insane,
$500 million. Yeah. $500 million.
$400 million. It made its budget back.
It made its budget back in the first weekend.
Infinity War was $257 million for opening weekend.
Oh, no.
So Endgame was $357
So it made $100 million.
So it made $100 million more a year later.
So almost its estimated budget back in the first weekend.
Oh, it's totally making tons of money.
Have we adjusted for inflation? Because there's been a lot of inflation since last year.
Those gas prices, man.
Totally.
Oh my God, what happened to that?
We're getting real screwed here in California.
It got real crappy.
So one of the other things I wanted to mention, Robert Downey Jr. was the only cast member that actually got to read the full script. Everybody else got pieces of it.
There will be spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, there will be spoilers.
But that makes sense. That
I feel like, according to that box office, I feel like everyone's seen it already.
Yeah,
so
seriously, if you haven't seen
anybody
this movie
that's going to see it has seen it already.
Yeah.
So, and then this was shot back to back with Infinity War. They only took about a 4-week break between the two movies.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. They had everybody assembled. They had everybody assembled already. CGI. And actually, they shot this before they shot Captain Marvel. So, Brie Larson playing that role, this was her first time doing it. So she didn't really have this character established. And this is the movie she had to do it in. Not.
Let's be honest, she wasn't really playing a character in this. It was kind of like
She wasn't even there.
Yeah. Barely there.
That's kind of a pet peeve of mine, actually. Like, I feel... I know we'll talk about this a little bit, but like, it bothered me that they wasted all the talent for like the very... Again, spoiler, but like the very end of the movie, and I know that's like the plot.
Watched the end of the.
You would know why they're not there
because they were all like evaporated from the earth. I get it.
Yes,
okay.
my goodness.
I know the plot. There was so much exposition, unneeded exposition in this film that like I feel like they could have spent more time with the other characters later in the film.
They did at the end of the movie,
but there wasn't enough time with them though. Like I literally saw
in the third hour.
Seriously, in hour number 12.
Yes.
Okay, so one more spoiler alert, sort of like trivia thing, and then I have 2 things that people have been kind of talking about that I want to get into after that. So at Tony Stark's funeral,
spoiler alert.
I said spoiler alert. There was a teenage boy standing in the back of the group. Did you guys notice that? And do you know who he is?
I just remember Michelle Pfeiffer from that scene. I was like, why is she here? And she hasn't been in the whole movie. Suddenly I see Michelle. Like, I loved it, but I just didn't get it. Sorry, continue.
So this teenage boy was in Iron Man 3, and he helps Tony Stark. Like, he gives him like a shed to kind of rebuild his suit to kind of, and their chemistry in that movie, he was like a young boy, was so good. And so when I saw him, I was like, oh, I wonder if it's that kid, because that's the only.
Did you watch Iron Man 3?
Yeah.
I didn't.
A long time ago.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, I did. I love the first two.
I'm obsessed with the first two. Yeah, Iron Man's like my favorite, but like I did not watch number 3.
The second one
felt how I felt when he died.
Yeah.
So.
The second one was not that great. 3 was, I felt like kind of a little bit. I liked it a little bit better, but nothing was as good as 1.
Yeah,
because first one was so good. The second one was mediocre, and I was like, I don't need to see it a third time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that was that spoiler alert. Okay, so
plus they already changed out Terrence to John Cheadle, and I was over it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no thanks.
Okay.
Anyway. So 2 things. I know I'm not going to pronounce her name correctly.
Oh, Denai?
If someone's going to butcher her name,
but her character name.
Oh.
Okay.
Oyeki.
No, Okoye, I think.
Okoye.
Okoye. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Because we just watched SNL last night.
I know, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, how is Shawn Mendes on SNL? Okay.
Don't even get me.
God,
I'm sweating. I'm going to take my clothes off right now.
You?
Oof.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Hot.
Have you seen the video?
No.
Okay.
I don't need to see the video. It's too much for me to handle.
Oh, okay.
I stopped following him. Sorry, Sean.
Back to my Okoye.
Not me, the other Sean.
News.
Okoye.
So Denai Guerrera was featured as her character on the poster for Avengers Endgame. And they only included the characters that didn't get dusted. So these were going to be the main people that were going to be in fighting Thanos or putting this plan together while everybody else was dusted and gone.
Gotcha. How come you don't say dead?
I don't know, because that's like they're not dead. Like they just kind of like disappeared.
Oh.
If you watched the end of the movie, you would know that. So
it's a big part. Huge.
You're not going to let that down. You should not have said that.
No, sorry. It's fine.
So what I noticed when the poster
Drink your magic stone.
What I noticed when the poster came out was that every single one of the actors
I've never seen the poster.
On the poster,
should look it up.
Their names were listed on top.
Okay.
Except for Denai's name was not included.
Oh, that's rude.
And I was like, literally, one other person, you can't put their name on there. And so I was thinking a lot about it because I was like, this doesn't make any sense why you would have
her picture, but not her name.
Her picture, but not the name. And then I was like, okay, there's, legal speak of most favored nations credit wise, where it's like, if you have most favored nations in your agreements that for credits that you get listed whenever all of the top billed cast gets credit. So if their name is on a poster, your name is included in that. So I'm like, okay, maybe she's not at the level with the rest of them that she doesn't have this in her contract that her name is required to be on the poster. But it's also like it's one fucking name. So they ended up re-releasing the poster and putting her name on it because there was a lot of backlash on it. And then now after watching the movie, she was barely in it.
Yeah.
And so for a character that was a huge character in Black Panther and in a lot of Infinity War, she was alive, she wasn't dusted, and they did not really utilize her in any sort of way, yet put her on the poster. Is that because they're trying to appeal to the Black Panther audience and they have another African American on the poster? I was like, what are you doing that you're putting her on the poster and she's actually not in the movie and you're not even listing her name? So I felt a lot of people were kind of pissed about that it's like you're kind of using her image to kind of placate this. No, we're diversity is important, yet you actually aren't using
I feel
her.
It's so nitpicky.
I think it's really interesting because I noticed it when the poster came out.
I didn't even see the poster.
I don't know, but I think there's something interesting. I was listening to another podcast today, actually, that was talking about the fact that there was the first gay superhero, ever on screen was in the therapy session. Do you guys remember this? Where he comes out and he talks about his date that he went on last night. And he's like, and I might see him again. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
And I guess there was all this talk about how like that's the director that is acting in that scene, I guess. The guy that directed the film.
Joe Russo.
And I guess there was like all this like he was just so proud of the fact that like he did this in the scene, and he was so proud that it was going to happen, that he wanted to play the character himself and all this shit. And it's like, it really, like, is that representation? Like, I'm not saying this is my perspective at all, but like when you talk about like diversity and stuff in these films, it's like, I don't know that that's the appropriate forum by which to say that like we brought the first gay superhero into a film. It's like,
you're not even actually casting a real actor. You're just putting your it seems like you're doing it injustice.
For like 10 seconds, and it's like that's what you're going to talk about. I don't know. I just think that it's weird, and I actually do think it's weird. Like, this film is from like Disney, a studio that's known for diversity. It's you know what I mean?
Where's
like,
the Asians?
Right, but like I think that's something really interesting to talk about.
Where's the Asians then?
But it's like you have. It's made billions of dollars after being out for like less than a month, and it's like, where is the inclusiveness? Where, you know, like, how are you representing all these different forms of diversity? I don't know. It's an interesting question.
I just feel like the poster was misleading.
Well, yeah,
I think they
messed
using
up.
her as this sort of,
and I don't think they thought about it. I think it was just kind of like whatever. I don't feel like they purposely used her image to do that.
I think that they probably, I guess the point that I'm trying to make though is they had an opportunity.
At the end, she was a big part, and I feel like that was the reason why she should be on the poster, but then her name's not.
I would say she wasn't even a big enough part.
She wasn't. There's like a whole thing about like they go through everybody's screen time in it, and she has so little screen time compared to everybody else that's on that poster. Yeah. And so it just feels, obviously, like, if you're a Denai, you're probably super excited to be a part of this franchise to begin with, but then it's, part of it feels like, I feel like kind of shitty that it's like you trying to sell and use my image to show that, like, look at how diverse we are, but you're actually not featuring me in the movie at all.
I just I
felt like it was kind of like shitty, and I was kind of reading about a bunch of that.
I don't disagree with you.
So I was kind of curious if you guys noticed it, or you didn't.
I don't notice Asians.
How do you guys feel? Give us a call
at 1-800. There's the character in Doctor Strange, but he was.
Sure.
I don't know if he got dusted too.
No, he didn't.
I mean, and then they didn't use him at all. He was only in when they flash back to going to retrieve that Infinity Stone.
Magic Stone, Natalie. It's Magic Stone.
I'm sure he's in Doctor Strange, maybe.
Yeah, he is in Doctor Strange a lot.
But, yeah.
Anyways, and then on to that a little bit, one of the other conversations that's kind of happening post everybody watching this is they had the scene towards the end where all the female Avengers are kind of back together, and they're going to try and save Spider-Man from, getting killed by Thanos or whatever. A lot of people were excited about that moment, and they thought it was really cool because it's like all of the women from the franchise are in this one scene together. Other people felt like they were just kind of placating the audience and like trying to jump on this movement without actually like giving them their like due. So they kind of was like, I'm kind of curious how you felt about that.
I feel like that stuff's annoying because it's like, I guess also too double-sided. I don't ever see that. So to me, when I see that, it feels like maybe you're forcing that on me. And it's weird that I'm seeing all, because I don't know. I didn't really care two ways or shits about it, but like, it's also like throwing it in your face. Like, oh, here's all the women now. Just, well, why can't it just be the people that are closest and moving along together as a team? It's just like all the women for the short 5 minutes that it was. I don't know if I think anything about it or not. I guess I don't. But
did you notice anything or have any thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, I actually wrote a note about that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I think, so that scene made me feel very emotional, actually. I recognized it for what it was. But I also felt, and I see where you're coming from, Lena. I think my perspective, though, is more, I wanted, in a 3-hour fucking movie.
God, yeah.
Like, I wanted more of this kind of stuff, to be honest with you. And I think that's my problem with it. Again, as somebody that's like, I'm hyper political. Like, I love the moment that we're in right now, and how women and minorities are really like seizing the moment and like doing the right thing when everybody else doesn't seem to be, right? And I think from a political perspective, right? But a movie like this that I feel like, okay, if the last one made as much money as it did, they had a social responsibility to tell certain stories in certain ways. And again, this is kind of like where like the gay thing comes in, the African American, like the Asian, the women, like it's like the representation of minorities in our society is never on par with what it is for like straight white men, right? And so I think that what a unique opportunity that they had with this film to tell different types of stories. And you had 3 hours to tell this story. Like, why couldn't you have told more of the story with like these women? And like, I recognize the scene for sure, and like so much that I wrote a note about it. But I also think that like, I don't know. I understand that it's like you have to make money and you have to appeal to a certain audience, and there's so many variables that are weighing in here. But I just think that like, you knew you were going to have that built-in audience. Why didn't you use that responsibility in a way that you could have told the story in such a way that like could have, I don't know, it could have made...
maybe I would have appreciated more if they spent more time telling the story as opposed to just forcing them all together at the end, like weird thing that they were doing.
It just felt very forced to me.
It was
like
forced,
it felt like, oh, we're putting this 30-second scene in there so that people can, you know, say that we did it.
Yeah, well, and I feel like someone even said, oh, like all the women are like, in the movie. Like one of the ladies was like, oh, all the ladies together. And I was like, why do you have to say that? Like, just do it. I don't know. It feels forced.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if this figure is accurate at all, but one of our friends said that comic book purchasers are now, like, the demographic is about 51% women.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Again, I have no idea.
We didn't look that up.
I didn't look it up.
Also, but just know that most, like, 87% of statistics are made up on the spot. Typically.
True.
So to me, I was like, okay, so if this is an accurate, you know, assessment of this demographic, a lot of these audience goers of this movie are going to be women. And yeah, of course we want to see fucking Thor, like, oh my God, I love him so much. But, you know, it was...
Okay, calm down.
Seriously.
I will say, for somebody who, I'm not a huge fan of this world, I felt like that was a really exciting, powerful moment to see all of these women together. I was like, okay, we're 2 hours and 40 minutes into this movie before we see this. And then it dissipated in about 17 seconds. And I was like, well, I guess that's all we get. Like, I was excited about it, but then it felt forced because it was like, hey, everybody, look, we got all the women. And then that's actually not anything that's not part of the story. We're just kind of doing it. So it genuinely felt exciting for me when it was happening. And I think it's kind of the same feeling I get a little bit like at the end of the Ghostbusters, the female version, where it's like, oh, I don't get to see that often. And so it is exciting, but then the way that it is actually executed is a little bit disappointing, because it's like, you really do have the opportunity here to do more with it. And that really only happened on screen for, I don't know how long, but I would guess, 15 seconds maybe.
I just don't need to see that so blatantly in my face. Like, just, it can happen when it happens. It's almost
like they don't know how else to do it. And I think that's the part that's like so most frustrating. It's like going back to the gay scene really quick, like, right? And it's like, I guess I say that I don't necessarily have an investment in it, but
that one is a little bit more like, that one was a little bit more subtle, like in there. It was just like, this is a conversation we're having. This was like, oh, let's get them, ladies.
Okay, but I would still argue, though, that like as someone that's part of that group, you see that on screen and you're like, oh my God, they've acknowledged me. And that's what we're talking about right now, right? Like, that's the part that like every human wants to feel acknowledged, and you want to go to the fucking movies and see yourself on the screen. Like, everybody wants to do that. Right. And in that scene, I felt that for, again, 5 seconds, 17 seconds of the way. It's like it's like, why can't you have more of the movie about that? Like, why does, and I don't know if this is the appropriate forum to have that conversation, but I just feel like we don't see enough representation of minorities on screen, regardless of the minority group that we're discussing. We just don't. And how do we get to that place? Because if we're not going to get to that place in a movie that makes billions of dollars, how are we going? Like, who's going to drive that needle forward? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, I just thought these were kind of interesting topics.
I didn't mean to go.
No, I did. Like, because they were the controversial two things that people have been kind of talking about, where some people were happy, some people were pissed about it. Some people, were pissed that, like, Black Widow wasn't a part of that female group. And they're like, how dare you? Like, she was the first female Avenger, and you assemble all of these women finally, and she's not even a part of it. It's like, well, but she died.
I know.
Like,
she died for you guys.
Oh, I have a note about that too.
She died for them.
Yeah. So it's part of it. It's like, no, you're not going to make everybody happy.
Yeah, of course.
Is this a step in the right direction? Maybe-ish. I don't know. But it just, I was just kind of curious to get if this were things that you guys noticed at all.
Annoyed.
Totally.
It's like, why do we have to talk about, like, who cares? Just let it be a movie. It's a movie.
Yeah.
For Christ's sakes, about fucking superheroes that don't exist. Sorry, I wish they did exist, but they don't.
But I think it's because they, not to digress so much, but it's because they don't exist. You have an opportunity to make them exist in a way that is fair to everyone. I don't know. Anyway.
I know. I'm just
all right.
Do we want to get into the stuff that we like?
We do. Yeah. For
Favorite
sure.
scenes?
Yeah.
Who should go first?
Lena.
Lena.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, so this movie was very funny. I loved all of them together. I stopped, again, watching Marvel movies after a second Iron Man. So I tried to watch Captain America. I couldn't get over his skinny part, but I couldn't watch the movie. And I never really just went back to any of the movies. I think I've seen maybe bits and pieces of them here and there. She loves Thor Ragnarok. Still haven't seen it. But I went back because I knew we were going to be... Endgame was coming out. So I went back and I watched Infinity War, and I watched Civil War, and I watched...
Did you see the end of the Infinity War?
I sure did.
Oh, okay.
And I enjoyed it very much. I really, really, really liked Infinity War. And I was like, oh, shit, I should have been watching these because I do like them. But I like when they're all... each one of them has this bit of humor to them. And then when you get them all together, they're kind of all sarcastic with each other. And I really like the dynamic that they all kind of bring to the group. So I don't have specific, I guess, but... I love the group dynamic, and then, well, I guess I do have a favorite scene. It's more of a favorite line. So when Captain America goes back and fights himself, and then he's on the ground, and he was like, oh, that is America's ass. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's nice ass.
Really nice ass.
Really nice ass.
So
it's more of a favorite line.
Okay.
I liked the line, because it was really funny.
I did like him fighting himself. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, he knows how he moves. Like, this is going to be a good fight.
And I loved how he was like, oh, God, yeah, I know.
I
You're
know.
not going to give up. Jesus. Like, he knows himself.
Exactly. Yeah,
So it was really fun.
Yeah.
I love
like,
that.
I like how they each have, like, their own, like, quirky, like, humor to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
My turn?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So, okay, I want to start by saying that two of my favorite actors, I think I fucking love Robert Downey Jr., and I don't know what it is about him, but, like, I honestly think that he brings like the heart and the soul to these movies, whether it's Iron Man, whether it's the Avengers things that he's in.
I love him so much.
He's such a great actor.
Yeah.
That like, and his presence as an actor, like a screen actor, is so stunning, and he's just so good. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just
so
captivated
good.
whenever he's
I
on
know.
screen, like in his monologue
Yeah,
or so,
I know.
whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
I also love Scarlett Johansson. So you can imagine
How heartbroken you were.
And I do want to say that, like, the thing I will say about this film, I loved it, obviously. And again, I'm someone that's like, I'm there to be along for the ride and enjoy the adventure, not necessarily having like so much of the layered context that other people have when they go to these movies. Like, I'm just going to like have a good time and watch like a great blockbuster. And it met all that criteria for me.
Totally.
Having said that though, I'm never going to a movie like this expecting to cry. And I think that it's weird when you're in this movie, this kind of movie, right, where people, it's like action and like it's the the film of the year or whatever, and it's like there's everyone around you is crying, and that makes you like even more awkward because you're
teary.
like, I have tears coming out of my eyes, and I don't want to like reveal them, but then everyone around me also does, and you can hear sniffles and tears, and it's like
Straight up bawling.
yeah,
their
and
eyes.
it's like this is the fucking Avengers. Why are we all crying in the theater? Like, and it's great.
Also, you knew he was gonna die.
I didn't know he was going to die.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't know he was going to die. But, and I didn't know she was going to die. And obviously her death scene is less dramatic, but I just felt, to your point, like she was the first, character or whatever. Like I did have that context, right?
First female
Yeah.
Avenger?
Yeah. Okay. It's like, fuck up and fuck that up too with the magic stones. But like, and so like when she makes that sacrifice and then you think it's going to be him that makes the sacrifice and then it's actually like she tricks him or whatever, like, I was just kind of like, fuck, they killed Scarlett. Like, why would you kill Scarlett Johansson? Like, it just really
Well, I
upset
think
me.
she did it for a good reason. He
And
had
I
a
totally
family.
get that.
And
Totally get that.
she was taking care of them. She was like the mom of the group.
Yeah. And then
The
when
original.
Robert Downey Jr. dies, I'm just like, fuck, you really, the only two people I care about in this universe,
I
you killed
did
them.
have a little tear in my eye.
Really
The
upsetting.
lady next to me ruined it, but
Yeah.
she was bawling.
We already kind of talked about the scene with the women. It was emotional. I acknowledged it. I definitely felt that they were trying to hit a certain note there. Yeah, I think that's what I liked. I mean, my other notes are like, they're not negative. They're just kind of neutral, but yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, my favorite scene or scenes was every single scene that Fat Thor was in.
Oh, yeah, it was funny.
My God, that man is the greatest thing ever.
Really?
I love him.
I didn't know you liked him.
Yes. Are you joking?
I'm joking.
Okay. So to me, I feel like, obviously I have my like top guys that I've had forever in my life, like Jim Carrey and Harrison Ford. Their places in my life will never be,
I was going to say Chris.
they will never be dethroned from their positions, ever. But
he's joined the list?
Oh,
he's been on the list a long time.
He's been on the list for a while, but with each movie, he notches up one more and notches up one more. And he could be officially number 3, which is really, that's like a hard, I mean, number 4 has been a long time on there, and he just got kicked way down.
Who?
Bruce Willis.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was number 3.
Damn.
No, has been number 3. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I mean, Jim Carrey, Harrison Ford, and Bruce Willis have been like my diehard.
You just gave
diehard
me
guys.
a different episode. We need to do our top film actors.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'd be great.
Oh yeah.
So he is officially slotted in at number 3, and I have a feeling he will stay there for a long time.
Wow.
So
do you think he could move higher?
I don't think so.
Okay, the first 2 spots are taken.
Those are taken forever.
Okay, got it.
But it's funny how with each movie,
she finally has a young guy on there.
I know, right?
Hey, I had Shia LaBeouf and Justin Long rotating through there for a while.
Wait, you had Shia LaBeouf on your list?
Yes.
Hot.
Love him so much.
We're going to have another conversation about
during
this.
the Disturbia days?
That's the only movie I can think of that I
Disturbia,
remember
Transformers, give it me all of the Shia.
Yeah, he was on that list for a while. Mm-hmm. And then got a little too crazy, so he's off the list.
Okay. Yeah, he's a little
Justin Long, love him so much.
He's
still
that
off the
on
list.
the list ever.
So with every movie I see Chris in, how do I like him more leaving the theater? I don't understand. Like I thought I liked him the most, that I had the ability to like him, and then I just like fall deeper in love with him. It's crazy.
Are the Thor movies funny too?
Yes, Thor Ragnarok is hysterical.
Okay.
She talks about how it's so funny.
It is really,
because
really good.
I've never seen those movies as much like you,
it,
but I think that like he brings a certain levity and humor to these Avengers films where I
love that he's a big, ginormous man and hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I feel like the first Thor wasn't that funny, but it's still like he's that fish out of water. Yeah. He's this god that's in the U.S. and like trying to figure out what he's doing here and what's going on.
He looks like Aquaman to me, and so it gets me confused sometimes. No. I know, it's weird. I just
definitely don't look the same.
No.
Sorry. Okay.
So to me, it was a really great. I loved that they had him kind of like really just torn apart and fallen after this Thanos.
Well, and the scene with his mom was like, that was intense.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But like them coming to find him and kind of bring him back into the group.
He's just playing video games and drinking beer.
And so typical formulas of movies where it's like your character is kind of fallen off the wagon. You kind of have this montage of them getting back into shape and ready to fight again. They didn't do that with him. No. He was Fat Thor the entire time. And I fucking loved it. Like, I'm so happy they kept him that way.
Yeah.
And at the end, spoiler alert, but like, he's on the ship with Guardians of the Galaxy, still fat. And I cannot wait for this movie. No. I hope they keep Fat Thor on the ship with Guardians of the Galaxy. Is there going to be
another Guardians of the Galaxy now?
Yes, definitely.
With some of these other people on the periphery.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because
Gamora
disappeared, so I'm sure that's going to be part of like what that next movie is going to be.
So here's my question to someone that's not immersed in this universe. Do these films allegedly take place in any kind of sequence?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
Okay. That's good to know, because I don't have that context.
But there is time warps and stuff too, so
yeah.
Well, that's how they get away with it.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So had you finished the end of Infinity War? That is where this story had ended, and we picked up from Endgame from there.
It was so long. I left after about 2.5 hours. Is that about where it ends, or no?
I don't think that one is 3 hours. This is the one that clocked in really long,
including previews.
Yeah. So
you left after
4-hour movie,
an hour and a half.
And then another thing that somebody had mentioned to me that I thought was kind of an interesting thing about Fat Thor and kind of the idea of,
should we be more PC? I feel like fat is like rude.
But that's what everybody's calling him.
Okay, why not? She calls herself Fat Amy. We can call him Fat Thor.
Yeah.
How else did you? Heavy Thor? No.
I don't know. I'm just trying
he's a pretty thick dude.
Yeah,
normally.
He got fat.
Yeah, who was Fat Thor?
Gordo?
I'm kidding. We can let it go. It's fine. It's
so
the Magic Stones martini.
typically,
Which doesn't look very appetizing.
No,
Because
not anymore.
Magic Stones have dissipated.
Yeah.
so what was mentioned to me, which I thought was really interesting, is that Captain America and Thor kind of have the same moral compass and trajectory of like they are worthy of, holding
That
the hammer.
ass is worthy.
And, they both kind of, where everybody else is really kind of flawed and selfish and has certain things that they've got going on. Like Jeremy Renner is off doing his own thing and pissed about family and whatever. And, Iron Man is kind of always selfish, they are the two that kind of normally always kind of stay on track of like doing what's right, doing what's best. And so since this was Cap's last film, it was kind of good to like let Thor take a step down from that worthiness and that God sort of role.
I love that they call him
and
Cap.
let Cap like kind of be the moral compass pushing the group to like succeed.
So is it clear at this point that Captain America will no longer be part
he's
of the
done.
franchise?
He's done.
Iron Man, Captain America, done.
Okay. Like there's no, because the time warp thing, right? Like we can go back. Okay.
No, their contracts are done and
Oh, gotcha. So it's
they're
a
all
contractual
through.
thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think they're tired. Robert Downey Jr. is
Yeah,
tired.
he's been in a lot. Even Chris Evans has been.
Yeah,
I think the two of them have been in the most like of the crossover movies too and stuff. So
Yeah. How many crossover movies have there been?
I mean, there's been a ton. There's been 22 movies in the Marvel Cinematic
And they all kind of
Universe,
intersect.
and a lot of them intersect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Not at the level of like
Infinity War
and Endgame,
Avengers,
but like
what's
the
Avengers
Civil
original
War. Civil War
is when
overlaps
they,
a lot.
So what you're saying, because this is what I was concerned about, you're saying that Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans will be okay financially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure because I was really scared about
I
that.
feel like Robert Downey Jr. is the only one that makes back end. I think he's the only one that was able to agree to that
and gets
with
to read
Kevin
the scripts in
Feige.
advance.
With Kevin Feige
yeah.
at the beginning. So like I think everybody's kind of estimating that he'll make $75 million off of this movie. Wow. Yeah, it's nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Off one movie.
Good for him. He
I know.
deserves it.
But the whole
love
thing,
him.
and that's part of like one of the things I like too, because I feel like obviously Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau are the whole reason why this universe I think exists at this level, because Jon Favreau directed the first Iron Man and like I think brought it to a place where our friend that's a comic book nerd was like, Marvel didn't have any big characters that they still owned the rights to, so they made Iron Man this like with Robert Downey Jr. this like huge thing that it is now.
I would also argue like mainstream accessibility, right?
Yes.
Because someone like me that's not into that universe at all, like went to see that movie because I think I remember what I remember about. Oh my god, alcohol! What I remember about the first Iron Man, I remember the trailer being like really intense. Like I feel like they maybe even showed like the first couple minutes of the movie in the trailer or something, and it was like I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see that movie. And then the movie was like just as good as the trailer, like they sold you. You know what I mean?
So good, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything we didn't like about the movie?
Oh, well, one thing I did want to mention that was like overall things that I thought went really well. It's because I'm so used to seeing these actors playing these characters because they don't really have time to do anything else. I forget how great they actually are. Like these actors are incredible actors. And I will get into some of the stuff that I didn't totally love about this, but it's when each of them have their kind of moment of realizing where they're at in life now after Thanos has kind of, killed everybody off and then he's been killed and there's kind of no hope at that point. It's so the emotional journey that they are all on. I didn't watch any of the Ant-Man movie. So like I don't have a connection to Paul Rudd and his daughter and what he's going through. Yet that scene, I was like, why am I crying? I don't even know who this is. I'm assuming this is his daughter. But like the acting is so good that it was like, I was on board with all of that. I was on board at the beginning with Jeremy Renner and his family, and I hate Linda Cardellini, but I was still sad that she was gone.
Yeah.
So it just, to me, and then when Black Widow and Cap are back at the house and she's like crying, eating that peanut butter and jelly, I was like, oh my God, I'm crying. Like it was just, there was so many emotional points where I'm like, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not emotionally invested in this franchise really, but they are all so good at what they do that I was on board.
I agree. And I think that's a good place to actually transition into the things that maybe didn't work for us that we didn't like. Some of it was that for me. So like what you're speaking to with respect to I'm not a Paul Rudd fan personally. I don't know. I'm not sorry.
I love him.
I know. I'm indifferent. I haven't seen the Ant-Man movies, but to your point,
yeah, I haven't either.
I was bought in enough to those scenes where I was like, okay, I buy this relationship, and I'm assuming, like you said, that's his daughter, and it's like he was dead, or they thought he was dead and he wasn't, and blah, blah, blah. It was almost too much for me. Like, it was like there were so many things pushing and pulling at you throughout this 3-hour film that I was like, okay, it's like this roller coaster, right? Because it's like this intensity, and then it gets emotional, and then it's intense again, and then it's like, and then it's kind of boring. It gets slow. Like, I actually thought the beginning of this movie, and this is where my note is, was pretty slow. Like, as someone that didn't see the end of the last one, I didn't even I didn't need all of that exposition.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, I get the people are missing, or they're dead, or they've smoked whatever you called it away. Like, dusted.
Smoked.
I just don't like. I'm drunk. But I didn't need all of that. I didn't need like this slow paced build to this thing. I would have much preferred a huge action sequence at the beginning. We didn't get that for like 45 minutes.
That was at the end of the last film. I'm never going to let you live that down. I will say, to your point, there's so much of this was good, and I feel like I compare this movie a lot to Mission Impossible Fallout, because I think the difficulties you face when having a movie, you've got excess footage that is all really good. All of these actors are really good. It's really hard to edit and cut that down. I would have loved if they had shaved off 5 to 10 minutes off of each of these characters' backstories.
Oh God, that's a note of mine. That was too long.
It felt a little labored for me to be sitting through.
Yeah. This movie could have been 30 minutes shorter.
Yeah, but I'm saying 5 to 10 minutes off of each of these stories. Okay. They were so well acted, and it was cinematically very beautiful to watch. And watching Jeremy Renner and do that fight scene and all sorts of, all of it is really great, but it just, when all compiled together, was just overall too exhausting to then get into this huge fight that we're then going to get into. Yeah. So, and it's like seeing that, Robert Downey Jr. has moved on, and we've
Robert Downey Jr.
Have another sip.
I know. I'm good. It felt like his sort of removing himself from the Avengers happened 3 separate times, and it's just kind of okay, I get it. Nobody wants to do this anymore. Everybody's upset, but guess what? We have a new plan. Let's get back together. So it just, all of that did feel really exhaustingly long.
Yes. And that's the exposition I think I'm referring to in that. First, also, I want to say, before we move on, and people are going to hate me for this, I'm sorry to the Avengers fans that are listening, and the Marvel fans, Mission Impossible Fallout was a far superior film.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, interesting.
It was.
Oh, sorry. Well,
Story,
I just want to shave off all of
action.
Gwyneth Paltrow. That was my note.
Oh, I know. I can't help think of her as
Oh my God, I can't stand her. And then she takes her at the end. He's dying. You took your helmet off and your hair's down with bangs in your face. Bitch, where's your ponytail? You were just in a war. I can't stand her. I can't. Any of that.
Why do we hate Gwyneth Paltrow so much? I genuinely don't like her. I don't know why I don't like her.
I don't know what it is. She doesn't
do like her.
Friendly looking.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever like her, and I say this all the time, is Shakespeare in Love. And because I love that movie, I can tolerate her. I cannot tolerate her face or anything in anything.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear her talk. I don't want to look at her. Nothing.
One thing I will say about this movie that I was kind of surprised by, as much as I loved Captain Marvel and thought that was a really fun film. And we saw Captain Marvel at the beginning, and she says, "I'm probably not going to be around for a while," and then literally disappears for 2 hours of the movie.
2.5 hours.
Well, she was filming her other movie.
And then she comes back. I was like, oh, I forgot about her.
Oh yeah,
maybe that's what she was doing.
I completely forgot.
Maybe that's
and
what she was
also,
doing.
isn't she the strongest one?
Yes.
Isn't she the most powerful? Well, bitch, where have you been?
Yeah.
She was filming her other movie.
Clearly.
But I'm also
she was in the 90s at Blockbuster Video. That's where she was.
In that fucking unicorn movie that we're going to talk about
Oh,
later.
God.
No.
Yeah.
But it's... So what to me was a little bit shocking was wow, I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her character in Captain Marvel. And I was like, I could care less where she was.
Yeah.
While I was
did
watching
forget
it
about
and
her.
had completely forgotten about her.
forgot.
I'm curious if her future movies are going to talk about where the fuck she went.
Yeah, because I loved Captain Marvel.
Because it seems like nobody addressed
retroactively go back and
the
assess
things
it.
that she was dealing with that apparently were more important than what they were dealing with, which seems like that was...
She didn't say why. She's just like, I'm just going to be gone for a while. But
Yeah,
I'll be
like,
back.
what are
Don't
you
worry.
doing? Getting that haircut? That's it?
Oh, the haircut was hideous.
Okay, well, don't tell my friend Melissa that because the lesbians are loving that haircut.
Oh, really?
I'm sure that they are.
yeah.
But apparently in the comic books, it looks much better and much like cooler. And this
Wig
did
or
not
whatever, yeah.
wig did not do it justice. Apparently, is what I'm hearing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
but
So
anyways,
it was like she had mutton chops here or
Yeah.
something. That was weird.
yeah, well, 'cause she's obviously not willing to like cut her hair in a real way, and so they have to put a wig on top of her hair.
So did you address the things that you didn't like?
Yes.
Are we ready to move on?
I think that's it.
Okay, Lena?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
That's it? I mean, I
And,
second
and
that.
that everything was too long. The backstories were too long. I agreed with all that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I would ask if anyone stood out in this, but I don't care. Like, it's too much. Nobody stood out. It's fine.
My note is that Chris Hemsworth is growing on me. But I'm sorry, we'll always pick Chris Evans over him.
Oh, I was going to
no.
do like a Liam Chris thing. I'd always pick Liam.
I would always pick Liam, too.
Yeah, same.
It's terrible.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Chris is who I'll be watching.
By the way, I watched Isn't That
Forever.
Romantic again the other night, and it's just as good the second
I
time.
do
I
want
was
to see
just
it
talking
again.
about him kicking the bush the
Yeah.
other day.
Yeah, it's good. I bought it on iTunes. Let's digression, sorry, but I bought it on iTunes with it was partnered with as like
bundle?
a bundle with
Oh.
what's the other Rebel Wilson movie? How to
How to Be Single?
Yes, so
Love-
good.
I love
How to Be
Such a
Single.
good movie.
I love
yeah,
How to Be
such a good
Single.
movie.
The Zook.
All right, tell the listeners that might be new to the show what is the objective of our Martini Scale.
Martini Scale is how we rate movies on this podcast called the Martini Scale. So that is 5 being the worst, that you need 5 martinis to get through the movie. And a great movie, you only need to drink 1 martini. Because who wants to be sober? That's rude. I'm sure people want to be sober, but
No, yes, I'm sure they do.
out of the 3 of us.
Not anybody we know.
Yeah. Not even who we know.
So Natalie,
Yeah.
what was your score?
Even though I didn't like certain things, I'm giving it a 1. I think
Whoa.
Oh wow!
it's, to me, I think it's kind of appreciating an art that maybe, yes, isn't totally exactly my taste, but understanding like how great it actually is. And there is an audience that loves it. It's kind of how I feel about like Lord of the Rings. Just because that's not my type of movie that I'm going to watch over and over again doesn't mean I can't appreciate how well executed that movie was.
Sure.
So I do give it a 1.
Lena?
2.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that.
I loved it 3000.
Oh, that's so cute. Sean doesn't remember what that's from. What the fuck?
What's funny is I heard that reference yesterday, and I had no idea what they were talking
Iron
about.
Man and his daughter. That's because she loved him 3000.
Yeah,
And
That
his
scene did make me cry.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
it made me cry.
Yeah, okay.
that's really cute.
I loved it.
I didn't love it 3000. I loved it maybe like 2000. I get it too.
I get
Two,
it, but
yeah.
it's
Anyway.
3000 is the
martinis.
word.
It's just one martini for me. Like you said, you acknowledge it for
was
what it
too
is,
long.
and it's great. But like
It was too long for a one.
One martini is like a flawless film. Like there's,
Mm-hmm.
I can't pick it apart. Like this, we just dissected it. Like
I know, but also I
it would change
understand.
nothing about a one martini movie, in my opinion.
I would change things about other one martini movies
This
that
is
I
your fucking
absolutely
scale.
love. I know, I completely agree, and I could watch this only drinking 1 martini. I don't need 2 martinis to watch this and feel
That's
okay
fair.
about it.
I go back and forth with how I interpret the martini scale.
Yeah.
Even though it's our show, I feel like for me, a one martini movie is like a 5-star film.
Yeah,
And I know that's not necessarily like doesn't translate completely,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, like a one martini movie is going to be like
But 5
I
stars
can't
is
critique
still
it.
your opinion.
yeah.
So Martini scale is still your opinion. That's
Totally,
fine. Yeah.
totally.
And there's still things that, like, The Departed is one of my all-time favorite, best movies that I think is practically flawless, but there are still things. There's massive continuity errors, like when they're smashing his cast off, and then one part of it, he's got, like, 1 strip of gauze, and then the next cut, he's got, like, a full cast on again. So it's
I
like,
hate that.
there's still things in movies that
Yeah.
you could pick and note that
That's
are
fair.
like, hey, these are things that are issues.
Yeah.
And so for me, I feel like as what they're presenting us cinematically, like it was very spectacular. Like, it was very over the top and great.
And not
like,
over the top CGI like I was expecting a lot of
yeah,
them
like
to
there
be.
was a lot of things that it made me feel all the things
Not
that I was
over the top.
You
ridiculous.
didn't think the CGI was over the top in
No,
this
I
film. OM fucking G 3000. Yeah.
No, that's because you love it 3000?
No.
It didn't annoy me. Is
Yeah,
what
it
I'm
doesn't
saying.
annoy
It's
me
not
as much
like
in this
so
for some
much where I
reason.
didn't
Yeah.
like I can't be in it.
The last 45 minutes of this film?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
the last 45 minutes of the film was annoying anyway, so
Okay. Fair. Touche.
there's way too many things happening.
As always, we want to thank you for listening. For more information, please be sure to visit themartiniscale.com, where you can find links for all of our social channels, in addition to show notes and more.
If you haven't already, please head over to Apple Podcast and rate and review us. It helps others discover the show.
We'll see you next time.
Cheers!
Bye!